Canada is drawing a line in the sand. Prime Minister Mark Carney has just unveiled a bold new, by Canadian, strategy, and it could reshape everything from the cars we drive, to the food we eat, to the jobs we rely on. This isn't just another policy tweak. Carney himself called it, not a transition, but a rupture. So what does that mean? Why now? And most importantly, what does this mean for Canadians like you, sitting at home, wondering how this political chess match with the United States is going to hit your wallet? Because make no mistake, this isn't just about tariffs or trade agreements. It's about sovereignty. It's about survival. And it's about whether Canada is finally ready to stand on its own 2 feet in the face of U.S. economic pressure. In the next few minutes, we'll take you inside Carney's new vision, how it works, why it matters, and whether it's a patriotic masterstroke, or a dangerous gamble that could backfire on every Canadian household. To understand why this announcement is making shockwaves, we have to rewind the clock. For decades, Canada and the U.S. have been each other's closest trading partners. Every single day, more than $3 billion worth of goods cross our shared border. But friendship has never meant fairness. In 2018, Donald Trump ignited a trade war that hit Canadians hard. Steel and aluminum. Slapped with punishing tariffs. Ottawa fought back with counter-tariffs on everything from ketchup to coffee pods. Suddenly, everyday groceries and household items turned into political weapons. And while the CUSMA trade deal was eventually signed, the scars never fully healed. Canadian industries were left vulnerable, and trust was broken. Fast forward to today. Trump is back as the face of U.S. politics. And Mark Carney, a former banker with a reputation for being cool and calculated, is trying to play a different game. He knows Canada can't always fight fire with fire. But he also knows we can't afford to roll over and let Washington dictate our economy. Here's what Carney is doing. Under the new Buy Canadian strategy, federal and provincial governments will prioritize Canadian suppliers for taxpayer-funded projects. That means if Ottawa is buying steel for a bridge, it better be Canadian steel. If a province is investing in healthcare equipment, priority goes to Canadian manufacturers. To back this up, Carney is rolling out a strategic response fund, billions of dollars targeted toward industries hit hardest by U.S. tariffs, small and medium businesses, farmers, and even seafood exporters. But that's not all. In a move that shocked the auto industry, Carney also announced Canada will delay its zero-emission vehicle mandate. Why? Because auto producers, already struggling under U.S. trade pressure, said they simply couldn't keep up. Carney's message was clear: Canadian jobs first, climate transition second. So here's the big question. Or is he playing a dangerous game, slowing down climate goals, risking higher costs, and turning trade disputes into a patriotic slogan? In the next part, we'll break down the key developments, how this strategy is already changing Canada's trade relationship with the U.S., which industries stand to gain, and which Canadians might end up paying the price. Because the real story here isn't just about policy, it's about power. And whether Canada can finally take control of its economic destiny. Here's the first domino that's fallen. For the first time in decades, Ottawa is putting Canadian suppliers ahead of foreign bidders in major government contracts. Think about that. Billions of taxpayer dollars, roads, bridges, hospitals, green infrastructure, will now act as a lifeline for Canadian industries. Carney is betting that if the federal government spends Canadian, it will send a ripple through the economy, more jobs, stronger local businesses, and a surge of national pride. But here's the catch: this move could quietly violate the spirit of CUSMA. The U.S. already has strict Buy American rules, and Ottawa is now mirroring them. So the question becomes, are we protecting our own, or provoking a trade fight we can't win? The second development: tariffs. Canada has officially announced that retaliatory tariffs on selected U.S. goods will remain in place, but now they'll be targeted more surgically. Instead of hitting broad categories like before, Ottawa will focus tariffs on goods where Canada can produce its own alternatives. Translation: The government wants Canadians to choose Canadian products over American imports, not just out of patriotism, but out of price advantage. Imagine walking into a grocery store and realizing Canadian ketchup is cheaper than Heinz. Canadian dairy is more affordable than U.S. imports. Carney wants that choice to feel natural, not forced. But again, here's the twist. U.S. exporters will notice. Washington will notice. And Donald Trump, well, he never misses a chance to swing back. So, are we on the brink of a patriotic revival in Canadian shopping carts, or just setting ourselves up for round 2 of a bruising trade war? The third development is where things get even more explosive: energy. Carney confirmed that Canada will shield its energy and resource sectors from U.S. interference. That means pushing back on any American attempts to undercut Canadian oil, natural gas, lumber, or critical minerals. Why does this matter? Because Canada's resource wealth isn't just an economic engine, it's a geopolitical bargaining chip. Washington needs Canadian energy. It needs our critical minerals for EV batteries. And Carney is signaling, if you want it, you'll play fair. But here's the gamble: will the U.S. respect that, or will it retaliate with even more? The Buy Canadian strategy taps into something deeper: our sense of identity. Our pride in building, growing, and buying from our own people. He's betting that Canadians are tired of watching their industries get undercut, their groceries dictated by foreign tariffs, their paychecks squeezed by international disputes. This is Carney's attempt to rally a country around one simple, powerful idea: Canada first. But will it work? Or is it just a slogan, destined to fade when the next global shock hits? We'll dive into the political firestorm this strategy has already unleashed. From opposition parties in Parliament, to union halls across the country, to everyday Canadians in grocery aisles, everyone has an opinion. And the reactions might just decide whether Carney's gamble becomes his defining legacy, or his biggest mistake. When the Prime Minister makes a move as bold as rallying Canadians to Buy Canadian, you can bet Parliament Hill will light up like a battleground. And sure enough, every political party has something to say, because this isn't just a policy. It's a test of loyalty. It's about whose side you're on, Canadian workers, or foreign corporations. First, the Conservatives. Pierre Poilievre wasted no time sharpening his attack. He argued that Carney's rhetoric is nothing but photo-op patriotism. His words were stinging: if Carney really cared about Canadian workers, he wouldn't just give speeches, he'd cut taxes, lower costs, and let Canadians decide what's best without government interference. For Poilievre, the Buy Canadian push is a distraction, a clever slogan that hides what he calls liberal mismanagement of inflation, housing, and jobs. The NDP, however, see things differently. Jagmeet Singh has embraced the Buy Canadian idea, but with a warning. His message is clear. If this is going to work, it can't just be words. We need strong laws, real protections, and guarantees that workers won't be left behind when big corporations chase cheaper imports. For Singh, it's not enough to wave the maple leaf. The NDP want policies that guarantee Canadian jobs, from factories in Ontario to fisheries in Nova Scotia. And then there's the Bloc Québécois. Blanchet framed the campaign as a Quebec first issue. He praised the sentiment, but demanded that Quebec's industries, from dairy to aerospace, be prioritized above all else. His stance: if we are serious about buying Canadian, then let's make sure Quebec's farmers, workers, and producers are the first to benefit. For the Bloc, this isn't just national pride. It's regional pride, and they're determined to make it count. The Green Party, as always, added another layer. They backed the idea but argued that Buy Canadian must also mean Buy Sustainable. In their words, if we're going to support Canadian products, let's make sure they're not just local, but also green. For them, the future of patriotism is tied directly to the future of the planet. But politics is only half the story. The real test of Buy Canadian lies with ordinary Canadians. And here's where it gets interesting. Across the country, shoppers are split. Some see it as an empowering choice. Supporting Canadian farmers and workers gives them pride. One Toronto shopper told us, "If it's made here, I'm buying it. Simple as that. I'd rather pay a bit more and know my money stays in Canada." But others aren't so sure. Rising prices have left families stretched thin. Another voice in Calgary admitted, "I want to buy Canadian, but when the imported option is cheaper, sometimes I don't have a choice." Small businesses and local producers. They're thrilled. A farmer in Saskatchewan told reporters, "Finally, the government is telling Canadians what we've known all along, that our food, our products, are the best in the world." But import-dependent retailers are nervous. Big box stores worry that consumers might feel pressured into choices they can't afford, leading to backlash. And then come the unions. For decades, unions have been the loudest voice pushing Canadians to buy homegrown goods. To them, Carney's call isn't just policy, it's vindication. Unifor, Canada's largest private sector union, called the strategy a victory for workers everywhere. They argue that prioritizing Canadian-made goods could save tens of thousands of jobs in auto, steel, and manufacturing. The Canadian Labour Congress echoed that view but warned, if this is only a slogan, it won't be enough. Workers need action, not just talk. The message from unions is crystal clear: Buy Canadian can't just be a marketing campaign. It has to be a movement. A movement that protects workers, rebuilds industries, and restores faith in Canada's economic independence. So here's the question Canadians are asking tonight: will Buy Canadian truly unite this country? Or expose the cracks that divide us?